USA versus China. This rivalry defines our times. It's the largest, biggest, most impactful, and most important rivalry of the 21st century. Whether it's in trade and commerce and economics, or in geopolitical influence, whether it's in technology and AI and other cutting edge explorations and innovations. Everywhere you have the US pitted against an ascendant China. And this confrontation is so important for our times that it really warrants taking a deeper look into it. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to apply the archetypal cosmology lens, the astrology lens, to shed some light on this rivalry, to understand the backgrounds, and to understand where things are going. Is there going to be a war between the USA and China? Is this going to be a Chinese century? Is it going to be a US century, again, like the 20th century? Those are questions that any observer of geopolitics and of the global economy is going to ask themselves. It looks like China is ascending in lots of metrics, whether you look at innovation and patents, or technology output, whether you look at production, and so many other metrics that you want to look at. China is ascending and is growing very, very rapidly. It's taking over in many ways. It's taking over. It's knocking down the US from the number one pedestal, and it seems to be just a matter of time because the Chinese are playing the long game. They're very patient. They're very, very patiently building up to that seemingly inevitable switch, that seemingly inevitable time that is on the horizon when China will be number one in everything. And the world order will have clearly and unmistakably shifted. But then, obviously, you have events that can happen along the way. You have wars, and you have confrontations, and you have, sudden developments, sudden quantum jumps in technology, which could completely change the game. And one of these sudden events is the current trade war, the tariffs, the trade war around tariffs that Trump has kicked off, because Trump very clearly came on the stage and said that we're not going to just let this play out. We're going to fight. We're going to fight, and we're going to establish the U.S., reestablish the U.S. as the number one and defend that position as the number one going into the 21st century, right? So this is the situation right now with these, with these two behemoth states. This is the great battle of our times, and everybody else is sort of caught up in between. At the end of the day, even the trade war that now everybody has to position themselves in, it was really about US versus China, right? Now, it's really, really interesting from so many perspectives. What we're going to do in this video, I will show you the astrology of China so that you understand better who is China, what is China, right? What is this People's Republic of China? We've talked a lot on this channel about Trump. We've talked a lot about the US. I think it's time to look deeper at China, to understand China better. And then I'm also going to tell you about the synastry between Trump and Xi Jinping, which is really interesting. And I'm going to point out some upcoming developments for this summer 2025 and beyond, which could really change the world. So make sure to watch this till the end. So Taiwan is going to be a huge, huge topic. But I'll get to that towards the end of the video when you understand the backgrounds, right? The karmic backgrounds. And then I'll answer you whether there's going to be a war on Taiwan, right? Straight up. So is there going to be a war on Taiwan? Yes, no. What is it going to be like? We're going to answer that in this video. Okay, so let's start by talking about China. Let's talk about the China, the People's Republic of China. The People's Republic of China, as you know, has massively advanced. It's insane. The amount of technology, of industry, of development. The cities are so modern now. There is so much advancement that has been shared and that has really lifted a lot of people up. And it's the production warehouse of the world. It's the factory of the world, right? It's basically much more so than any other country. I think the only comparison is what was England, Great Britain in the Industrial Revolution. During the Industrial Revolution, England was kind of producing everything for everywhere in the world, right? You had Manchester was the factory of the world. Nowadays, the factory of the world is Shenzhen, right? So everything is produced. And you can just have a look at the map of the largest trading partners for each country in the world. And you're going to see that the majority of countries in the world now trade with China more than anybody else, more so than with the US. And this has shifted dramatically over the last 20 or 30 years. It used to be the US mostly, right? It's now China. China produces everything, even for the US economy. There is this very interesting meme that was making the rounds where Trump says, "You don't have the cards," right? And he holds in cards, they're playing cards, and Xi Jinping says the cards were made in China, you know. So, and it's really like that. It's really like that, where the sheer ability to bring that into the rivalry is very, very potent, very, very powerful. Just think about the tariff war, the recent tariff war, which saw escalations starting from 20%, 40, 50%, I raise you, I see you, and I raise you, 50, 80%, 84%. Oh, you're going to do 84%? Okay, I'm going to do 104%. Oh, 104%. I'm going to do 125%. You didn't count with that. Okay, I see you 125%. This was really the rivalry between the two until it's kind of gone up to 125% reciprocal tariffs, right? It's absolutely insane. A lot of businesses, a lot of people going out of business who had this as a business model. But then, obviously, the U.S. turned around, Trump turned around, and made an exemption for phones, for electronics and mobile phones, because who wants to pay? Because the phones, the electronics, the iPads, everything is made in China. Who wants to pay? Which American wants to pay, $2,000, $3,000 for an iPhone, like $4,000 for an iPhone? Like who wants to, right? Who wants to pay those increases, right? So China has a lot of power. China has a lot of power like this, obviously, right? And it's very interesting to understand the spiritual DNA of China. Is that the extent of the power that China wants? Is China a nation that is oriented towards military domination and being dominating the world and just taking over the world? Or is that all China wants? Is China just really about progress like that? About industrial, competing and doing well in business and economics? I mean, that wouldn't be anything that you could criticize in any way if that's what China's goal is, right? So let's look at the chart of China. This is the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to look at the chart of the People's Republic of China. I'm going to share this right now with you. You're seeing this here. This is the chart of the People's Republic of China, right? So we have the chart here shows us a nation that is, the sun is in Libra. You see here, the sun is in Libra, and it's in the 8th house. The 8th house is the resources of others, and Libra is about, diplomacy and good relationships, right? Having nice relationships with others. Beneficial business. Libra is basically about making nice, beneficial deals with others. That's what Libra is about. Libra always wants to have good relationships, right, with everybody. So what you see here is a nation that is primarily focused on making nice deals, making good deals with others, right? That's the primary focus of the nation. Diplomacy and deal making with others. But okay, that sun, the same sun, is also squaring Uranus, right? So Uranus, revolutionary. There is some revolutionary energy in that, right? It's not just about making those deals. There's also some intent or some, there's some revolutionary energy that is coming in. That's like whether it's about changing changing the way that nations are doing things, whether it's influencing them to switch to a new global system of currency exchange, or join BRICS, right? BRICS obviously has been very revolutionary force, and China has been the driving force behind it. So that revolutionary force is there too. And then we have a couple of important things to look at. So the moon here is very important, obviously, for the people, right? The people. The moon is on, it's actually here. It's not, it's, you can see it here. It's on the ascendant. It's exactly on the ascendant, okay? The moon is on the ascendant, and it's it's in Aquarius, right? So the moon on the ascendant, it tells you that in a chart, in a national chart, the moon stands for the people, right? The people of China are completely identified with this People's Republic, with the nation, right? They are one, they're completely identified with it. There's no distance between the people and this nation, right? The People's Republic. So, and it's aptly called the People's Republic. It is the People's Republic in effect, right? Moon is here, and Moon is in Aquarius. So it tells you that there is a kind of a progressive spirit of sorts, right? Obviously, I mean, the People's Republic is a communist republic, right? At least by name. The name is a communist republic. But when you look at it, what they're doing, how they're living, how they're organizing their society, there's very little of what you know as communism. In fact, in reality, it's much more of a Confucian republic, right? They're organizing their society based on ancient Chinese philosophy, which is a very collectivist philosophy. Everybody has their role. Everybody kind of contributes to the greater good, right? It's not very individualist. It's much more about the collective. But that's ancient Chinese philosophy. It's not really the kind of communism that you would expect from Marx and Lenin and that stuff, because you don't even see that in the chart. In the chart, I looked for the placement of asteroids, Karl Marx, Vladimir Lenin. They're not placed very prominently. They're not placed prominently. It's really the Chinese Republic, People's Republic, is not really that much about what's known in the West as communism. It's more of a cover of sorts. It's a cover that allowed the Chinese to really bring back their own collectivist philosophy, their own collectivist system of ethics and morality and so on, right? And then when you look at the chart, let me tell you more about it. So the sun that I told you about, right? It's here with a whole bunch of very, very telling asteroids. It's here with Neimongol, right? And what else? It's like paciencia and justicia, patience. And there's one called marathon, patience, justice, and Neimongol is on the sun, right? The sun is the character of the nation. So you have the quintessentially Asian nation, Neimongol is on there, right? And which is all about the pursuit of justice and does that patiently. And marathon is like, you run the long marathon, you play the long game, right? If anybody's playing the long game, it's China, right? China is all about patience and the long waiting game, right? Wait for your opportunity. Wait for the right opportunity. Bring yourself in the right position. Don't do anything rash. Don't do anything, that's not well thought through. This is like the principle of China. And you can see that in the chart very clearly, right? And then, what else do we got? We got here, there is a Neptune with Mercury is still in the 8th house in Libra, making a lot of deals, right? And it's with Goldstone, right? So making a lot of deals with other nations that are about wealth, right? It's really about wealth, a lot about wealth. Everything is about wealth here, right? For creating wealth, creating and sharing wealth with others, right? And then on the MC you have how you're going to be perceiving this nation. What's the purpose? What's the mission? Where is it going towards? That's what you got on the MC. The MC shows you where, what's your public destiny? What's your mission and your public destiny? You see that on the MC, the midheaven, right? In astrology. And the MC here, what does it tell me? We've got here Lao Tse. You got here, this is an asteroid called Zhongguo. Zhongguo is actually the old name of China. It's like the Chinese name for China. Chinese don't say China. They say China actually comes from Qing dynasty. So the Chinese call their country Zhongguo. And you have here this asteroid Zhongguo, and you have Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is the philosopher, ancient Chinese philosopher. And then you have here Concordia and Fanatica. Concordia is what? Concordia stands for order and harmony. Order and harmony with Fanatica. Very interesting combination. So the public destiny of China is to fanatically pursue order and harmony. It sounds like an oxymoron. Like, it sounds like what? Okay, fanatically pursue order and harmony. But that's really what China is about. And in the fanatic pursuit of order and harmony, the point of this China People's Republic is to bring the ancient civilization of Zhongguo back to the center of the world stage, right? That's also written in the chart. China is the oldest civilization on Earth, right? It's really the oldest civilization state, continuous civilization state. It's like 4,000 or 5,000 years of continuous history, right? So, which has been China. China has been China, right? Without changing, basically, which is absolutely unique on Earth, right? And the role of this Chinese nation or this Chinese republic is to bring that back, and establish order and harmony in the world based on the Chinese civilization, right? Or in a way that brings Chinese philosophy and the Chinese civilization fronters, to the forefront of global developments, right? Bring it to the forefront through its public destiny. But now there is something really, really interesting. Can China do all of these things in a peaceful way? Because so far it looks like, okay, the pursuit of beneficial trade relationships, the establishment of order and harmony in the world stage, all of that is like super, it looks very benevolent and it looks very orderly and harmonious, right? But then what we have as well in the chart of China is a conjunction of Mars and Pluto. You see here Mars and Pluto, and this is actually in a square here to the MC, okay? You see here Mars and Pluto. Mars and Pluto together is the ruthless approach, ruthless approach in battle, in war, right? The nation that can be extremely brutal and ruthless in defending. It's not just in defending, in attacking, because it's in the 7th house. You see here, Pluto and Mars are in the 7th house. 7th house is the house of partners or enemies. And it's this constellation, it's very, very interesting. I'm going to decode this more for you. It's with a star called Dubhe. You see here Dubhe. Dubhe is a star which it stands for the warlord, the general, right? The general. Like, okay, you got the warlord with Pluto and Mars. When they're together, you're always talking about an extremely powerful military force that will ruthlessly attack if necessary, right? And then you have this with what? So there's going to be some type of need for China to defend or attack rather, for its interests, right? And who is it going to attack? You see here in the 7th house, here is basically the house of partners and enemies and open enemies. When you have 2 malefics in here, it's more, and actually 3. Mars is here too. All the malefics are in the 7th house, so for China. So there's going to be enemies. There's going to be some major enemies. And there will be some need for confrontation with the enemies. And who are these enemies? So we have them written here, the asteroids that are basically showing you here how this energy is expressed. Apart from that star Dubhe, we have Democritos, Imperatrix. Democritos and Imperatrix. Basically, well, the democratic imperial world order, you could say, in some ways, right? The empire of the liberal democratic states, which until recently was still a kind of a global empire, and it called itself the international community, but in reality it was just basically Western states and their club, the G7, right, or something like that, the Western states and plus Japan. And they were calling the shots, and they were telling everybody that we're living in this system. Everybody has to follow, our liberal democracy system. And this is an enemy for China, very, very clearly. It's an enemy for China. And you have something very interesting here. Westphalia is here. Westphalia. And Westphalia is super interesting because the Westphalian system refers to the system of sovereign nation states under liberalism. So the liberal order, where you have all of these 200 or 300 little states, big and small, from the very big ones to very small ones, and they're all sort of counting as equals before the law, before the international law. That's called the Westphalian system. And you see here, Westphalia is being directly attacked by China. It's the enemy of China. The Westphalian system needs to be ruthlessly attacked by China, right? What does that mean? Why? Because, well, China, and now together China and Russia, are propagating a new world order, which is going to be a multipolar world order. And in this multipolar world order, you don't anymore have these little sovereign states. Every little state that just has a little border says, like, I'm a sovereign, I'm equal with so-and-so, and we can go and complain with the World Trade Organization if you don't do what I say. This time is over now. Now we're going to have multipolar world order, and it's really rapidly moving towards that, where each pole has a central power, and the central power calls all the shots. Somebody who's been very quick with accepting this is Donald Trump. Donald Trump was like, okay, multipolar world order. You know what? Donald Trump, or MAGA, doesn't like the previous, the liberal state order neither. They don't like the liberal state order that existed before. They're like, you know what? The world is moving towards this multipolar world system, and we're going to play along. We're moving as well, right? So, because in the multipolar world order, for instance, every pole or every area has one hegemon, has one power, right? The hegemon of North America is the US. As a consequence, it means that Greenland and Canada have no sovereignty, right? Whether they like it or not. In the previous world order, you had sovereignty. In the new world order, you don't. You don't. If you're told that you're going to be part of the U.S., you're going to be part of the U.S. There's nothing you can do about it, right? There's going to be nothing that you can do about it, right? So that's going to be the world order that we're moving towards. And you can see here very clearly that China is the main force in bringing about this order. It's not even just Russia. Russia in the partnership between China and Russia. Russia is the muscle. Russia is the enforcer. Russia has all the weapons, right? But the brain is China, right? Or the power, the driving force behind everything. The driving force behind this big shift that we're seeing on the globe is China, right? And you can see this here in the chart very clearly. Interestingly, there's another asteroid here with the enemies or with the opponents. It's Bharat. You see here Bharat is exactly with Mars Pluto in 7, right? So China is somehow pre-programmed to see India. Bharat is the old name for India. See India as an enemy, as an opponent, right? As a rival somehow. Because you can think about it, you understand. India is the only other nation that is equally old as China and equally like an established old civilization and equally large, right? Equally large. If India were to become a powerhouse like China, this would rival China. There's nobody else that could rival China in terms of size and just his power that comes with the history, right? There's really nobody else that could rival China like that. Okay, so this is what we can see from the chart. Is there anything else that we can see in the chart of the Chinese People's Republic, right? Well, yeah, there is something really important actually that I haven't shared with you yet, and that's this Mars-Pluto conjunction, right? Which is the ruthless pursuit of your interest against any enemies, right? By any means necessary, if necessary, with war, with any means, right? Any strategy that are necessary, right? And this conjunction, it's in a direct opposition of Pluto and Mars, right? The planet of war and power is in a direct opposition to the asteroid Taiwan. You see here? Taiwan. Taiwan is in a direct opposition to Mars and Pluto, right? It's really interesting. And Hong Kong is actually on the ascendant exactly. So Hong Kong is integral part of the self-understanding of China, and Taiwan is a necessary opponent, needs to be overcome or needs to be subdued in some ways, right? This is also written in the chart. So Taiwan, there's no way around it, right? There's no way around it. Taiwan, and this has been an issue since the beginning. There's a whole story about how Taiwan and China came into being. They both actually claim to be the legitimate continuation or the legitimate government of all of China, not just of their respective parts. Obviously, Taiwan doesn't have any reality for that. Taiwan is only a little island, right? But regardless of that, it's extremely important to understand that this issue, it will not go away. It will not go away. It's written in the destiny, not just of China itself, like I showed you, but also in the destiny of the main players that are now facing each other. Who? Xi Jinping and Trump, right? Xi Jinping and Trump are facing each other. They are in this showdown right now, right? Where they're facing each other. Actually, it's really interesting. If you look at their astrology, it's super interesting to see that they're really similar. They're really, really similar, right? So when you look at this, like, let me show you. You got Donald Trump and then Xi Jinping, yeah? So you see here, they got sun on sun, right? Sun on sun, Mercury on Mercury, exactly, right? So they think alike. They speak alike. they really see each other as, very, very respectable leaders because they see themselves in the other one. Each one of them sees the other guy and sees like, oh, you're the American version of me. And Trump sees Xi Jinping and says, oh, you're the Chinese version of me. They really see each other in each other because you can see it. They're super similar in that way, in many ways, right? The character, the personality, how they speak, right? They're both these kind of strategists who are very fast with their mentally very agile, right? And they come up with all of these quick strategies. And then what else do they have? Well, there is some fated problematic issues here in their synastry. On the one hand, Mars with Pluto, if they get into a battle, it's going to get very, very hard. And it's going to get very, very ruthless. They're going to fight till the bitter end if they get into a battle, right? And then Xi Jinping puts his Saturn on Trump's Jupiter. You see that down here. So Xi Jinping is wired to block Trump. Trump is coming with all of these plans and all of these, I want to do this and this. And Xi Jinping just stands there very carefully and just blocks him. Blocks him off. No, you're not doing this. You're not doing this. And they're both playing this incredible game of strategy, and one-upmanship and this 5D chess that they're playing with each other because they're very, very, very strategic people, both of them. It's actually interesting. There is this picture where Trump is reading, or where both of them are reading, and Xi Jinping is reading The Art of the Deal. The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump, which is a great book on negotiation and strategy, right? And then on the flip side, Trump is reading the book The Art of War by Sun Tzu, right? The Art of War, which is like one of the classics, if not the classic, of strategic thinking, right? In general, whether it's for business or war or whatever, right? And there is an interesting side to this, that the seer Frank Felber, who is a great seer of karmic patterns, he revealed recently that Xi Jinping is actually an incarnation, a current incarnation of Sun Tzu, who was the author of The Art of War back then in ancient China, right? So you could say basically, yes, Trump has written The Art of the Deal, and Xi Jinping has written The Art of War, right? They're both kind of grandmasters at strategy, right? And they're playing each other now. And this game of strategic, geopolitics that they're going to be playing, that they're playing to get, against each other. This is going to define the next 3 to 4 years. This is going to define not just, the next 3 years for world history, but beyond that, the 21st century in many ways, right? Guys, a quick notice, we just launched the Ultrasapien Ascension Report, which is a completely revolutionary PDF report that is based on your astrology and your numerology with your unique combo of your name and your birth details. And it gives you a mind-blowing insight. Everybody who's seen it so far has been absolutely blown away by the level of accuracy and the detail that it gives you in decoding your cosmic blueprint. And this is not like readings that you may see online anywhere else, because every single word in the Ascension Report is tailor-made for you, and it's based on our proprietary database. This is not your, run-of-the-mill general stuff that you get in the astrology apps and so on and so forth. And for now, just for a short time, I'm giving an initial special offer for the YouTube fam, like a loyalty bonus of 50% discount on the Ascension Report. It's usually $77. That's what it retails at, but you're gonna get it at $38.50 if you go on ultrasapien.network and you apply the coupon code YouTube50. So best thing to do, accelerate your ascension, get the Ascension Report. Because whether we have a large war, World War III in this time, which is a distinct possibility, or whether we don't have that, is going to put the further trajectory of humanity into completely different directions, completely different pathways. It's like this, choose your path. Humanity is here now, and choose your pathway. Are you going to go here and that will lead to dystopia and this and Mad Max scenarios? Or are you going to go here and this is going to lead to humanity's upgrading, right? We don't know, obviously. God knows better. God plans better, and God's plan includes all of these options already for us, right? We can't obviously predict too much in there, but we can see where we are right now. We can, have a glimpse into God's plan by looking into the astrology and seeing how these figures are already aligned with each other and what's coming up between them and for them, right? And one thing I can tell you is that for both Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, Taiwan plays a hugely important role, right? Absolute massively important role, and I can show you this. So this is the chart of Xi Jinping. Okay, Xi Jinping, this is his chart, right? He's got a sun with Mars. Okay, he's a strategist, but he can fight. Like he takes no shit from nobody. Like he can fight, right? He's a strategist, but a military strategist too, right? And then his sun and Mars conjunction is in a direct opposition. You see this here? You're going up here. I'm not going to tell you all of the details here because it gets too much. You go up and see the opposition. Here's the opposition. Okay, here's the opposition, direct opposition with the galactic center. The galactic center makes everything extremely important. Everything that is here acquires galactic importance, world stage, world historical importance. And it's with the asteroids, maritime, liberatrix, Taiwan. Maritime liberation of Taiwan, which is massively important. Galactic center means there's going to be an event of world historical proportions in which Xi Jinping is somehow involved in a maritime liberation of Taiwan, right? This is written in Xi Jinping's chart. And then when you look at Trump's chart, so this is Trump here. Trump has sun, he has the sun with Uranus. He changes the world order. He's come to bring change and revolution to the world order. And his sun is with Taiwan. Asteroid Taiwan, exactly on it. So in Trump's life, in Trump's history, when it's all said and done, Taiwan is going to play an important role in the story of Donald Trump, right? So this is also written in the chart. Okay, what does that mean? Well, you can just think about it. There is this standoff right now between China and the US. I haven't even showed you everything here. There's so much more to show you, actually. But I can't, I have so many charts here. But I'll show you one more thing. Look, this is the chart of the US Sibley chart. Okay, 1776. The foundation of the US. And in the US Sibley chart, this is from the 18th century. In the 18th century, and this is how you understand God's plan is so vast, right? Everything falls into this divine cosmic plan, right? And this is from the 18th century. And you already have here China on Saturn. You see here, China on Saturn. So it means either China is going to be a limiting factor for the US, or the US will have to be a limiting factor for China, right? Saturn is where you meet your challenge, your great challenger is Saturn, right? And by the way, Serbia was there too. So Serbia obviously was on the receiving end for the US, right? But China conjunct Saturn in the chart of the US. And similarly, it's also, now you're gonna, this is how deep the rabbit hole goes, right? It goes that deep. It really goes that deep. And you have, I didn't show you that before, but in the chart of China, you also had the asteroid America in the wide conjunction. So not just that China is the limiting factor for the US karmically, or the big karmic challenge. Also the other way around, vice versa. America is the big limiting factor and the big, right, challenge for China. And it's written in their charts perfectly. So now, where are we going to next? I showed you that both Trump and Xi Jinping, they have this Taiwan connection on their sun with their, and their sun is with they're together because, they're very, very similar. Now, over the next couple of months, Jupiter will be transiting that point in 23 Gemini, right? Jupiter will be going there, 20, 22, 23, 24 Gemini, right? And what happens is that, basically, this is already now, this is in June. This is in June 2025, right? This topic is going to blow up. It's going to blow up. Both of them, the trade war that is going on now, you can count on it. in the next couple of months, somehow Taiwan will be pulled into this, right? And then whatever happens now, because they're both going to be very, very confident, Jupiter is going on their sun, they're both going to be very, very confident and potentially excessively confident, right? They're going to be like too full of themselves, and they're going to be making mistakes. Probably more so Trump than Xi Jinping. Trump is more of the kind of character who could get carried away by, grandiose ideas, right? Xi Jinping is very careful, like carefully calculating, right? He's a little bit more immune to Jupiter being blown up too much by Jupiter, right? But now, be that as it may, we will have to monitor and see how this continues. But you can count on it. Taiwan is going to be in the news in the coming months, right? And at some point in this ongoing rivalry, there will be a time when Taiwan is going to get weaponized. Imagine, as part of the ongoing back and forth, there is a blockade, a maritime blockade, which would also fit with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that we have in these coming years, right? And where it goes from there, it's going to determine the rest of the coming years. It's going to determine whether there will be some type of more or less harmonious transition of the world order, or whether there's going to be the need for a large war, right? Which we all hope and pray that there will not be that need. But we have to keep our eyes on this situation as it unfolds. This much I can tell you, that it's going to be a massive contention. There will be at some point in this presidency of Trump and Xi Jinping, there will be this massive conflict around Taiwan. It's written in their charts. It's part of their destiny. It's going to happen. It has to happen, right? Now, what form will it take? Will it be a trade war? Will it be a blockade? Will it be an actual military engagement? All of this remains to be seen. But whatever it is, a major step toward it should happen in June 2025, or June, July, this summer, basically, 2025, right? So let's keep our eyes on this and let's see what happens. And now, let me know in the comments if you want to know more, if you have questions around this, if you want to see other aspects and angles. I aim to deliver these insights for you so you have the archetypal perspective on our world and where we're going to, right? Most importantly, you need to make sure that you yourself are maneuvering well and you understand the cycles and this crazy time that we're living through right now. If you want to get the analysis for yourself, you can always work with me. You can find the comments. In the comments, you can find the link for the consultations that you can book with me. And apart from that, just make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so yet. Like the video and comment. Your comments are very much appreciated. And I see you at the next time. For now, be well and be blessed.